Hi everyone, good Friday afternoon and welcome to GoLocal Live. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for tuning in to kick off your almost start to the weekend with us here in downtown Providence. We'd like to welcome a familiar face if you were watching last night up at the House Finance Committee, Marc Crisafulli, President of Twin Rivers, Rhode Island Operations. Thank you for joining us in studio.
So happy to be here, Kate. Thank you for having me.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come in here, give us the Twin River take. But before we even get into the contract battle, tell viewers a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I grew up in Pawtucket, married my elementary school sweetheart, live in Providence right now, have 3 kids, and love to be here.
Okay. And your path to president of Twin River, give us a little bit of the professional background.
Sure. So I'm a lawyer by training. I've worked at a law firm here. I then went to GTEC. I was GTEC's general counsel, ran their gaming business, left when we sold it to the Italians, was the managing partner of Finkley Allen, and now here I am at Twin River. I joined Twin River in the spring.
Okay. So as we know, the big political battle taking place up at the State House currently, IGT has a proposed 20-year contract extension. Twin River said, hey, let's take a halt. We'd potentially like to be involved and take over lottery operations. So tell us the Twin River take, obviously. When you heard from IGT looking for the extension, what were the discussions and then plan of approach from Twin River?
Sure. So the number one issue for Twin River relates to the machines on the floor. That's part of our core business. It's where 80% of the state's gaming revenues come from, about $300 million. And we were really only focused on the machines, Kate. What was really important to us was that the governor and IGT's initial deal had IGT taking over 100% of the machines. That was really untenable for us. We honestly really don't want to be in the middle of this fight right now. We would prefer to find a 3-way partnership that makes sense for all of us so that we can actually figure out how we best compete with Massachusetts and Connecticut. Unfortunately, the machines are bundled in a larger deal that includes the lottery. So the only reason we're involved in the lottery discussions is because that's the only way to have a productive discussion on the machines.
And let's talk about that. What is the detriment of having IGT having 100%?
The system was set up to maximize revenues. To maximize revenues, you need real competition among all of the machine providers. You need diversity of product, different machines, all of those sorts of things that drive revenues. Having one company control 100% doesn't give us the kind of products that our players want, that our consumers want, and that we need to be competitive with Massachusetts and Connecticut. For example, in Massachusetts, IGT has between 35 and 38% of the market. And we need something that more mirrors that. That was the number one issue. And again, because there's so much money that flows through the machines, $300 million a year to the taxpayers, it's the most important component of our offering. That's why we care so much.
And what do you think about how things went last night? Obviously, hearing from some IGT experts, obviously about that competition and what their take is on things currently at Twin River, saying, of course, there's competition, but there's ways to improve Twin River. What was your reaction when you heard that from those experts last night?
First of all, I was disappointed to hear some of that testimony because the condition of Twin River is not the issue in the legislation or what's before the hearing, but I understand that they want to try and make this about Twin River as much as possible. We're a partner to the state. We've spent $170 million in the last 2 years to build Tiverton, to build a hotel at Twin River and Lincoln, to build a sportsbook cafe. But if people think we can do better, we accept we need to do better, and we're happy to kind of have those conversations. But I think that's a side issue from the big issue here. My own personal opinion is we feel like the executive branch is holding us to one standard and IGT to another standard. And we don't think that's the right way to proceed. We think we are all in this together. We should all be held to the same standards, and we should have a 3-way partnership that figures out how it is we go forward in the best interest of the state.
So have you had those conversations? Have you approached the governor's office, approached IGT and said, let's look at it from this angle?
Kate, I've tried so many times. No one wants to talk to me. I've gone to IGT multiple times, and their response was to go on Channel 12 and say I tried to extort them. We've called the governor's office numerous times. We sent a proposal in last week to the governor, a written proposal from a Rhode Island company that has 2,500 employees here, that's a partner to the state, talking about investing hundreds of millions of dollars. We don't get a return phone call, and within hours they dismiss it out of hand. And I just don't think that's the right way to proceed. Even if you're not going to go with us ultimately, we are a partner to the state. We're a serious employer here. It's a real credible proposal, and it deserves some back and forth. The problem we have, Kate, is that The governor's office here is not interested in getting the best deal for the taxpayers. It's not interested in even considering a better proposal. It only wants the IGT deal, and it wants it right now. And we just don't think that's a fair way to proceed. You've got two big companies who want to try and bid on this, and you should run an open, fair competition and let the best company win.
Now, when Twin River said that it would look to partner with Camelot to provide services here, said that you could provide a very similar offering to what IGT is saying, guaranteeing 1,100 jobs. Talk a little bit about that. How would that look? You know, if again IGT decides that it's not going to have its corporate headquarters here because they don't get that guarantee, and some of those 1,100 employees here might leave and go elsewhere. You know, how is that apples to apples jobs look if another company comes in?
So let's just kind of take a step back here. The state is overpaying IGT more than $300 million on these systems. That's why IGT can afford to keep the jobs here. Right? So what we're saying is there's so much excess profit in this deal. Give us a shot at it. We'll give the state a better deal, and we can create the 1,100 jobs. And we've got investors and partners in this deal that have well over $150 billion of assets that are looking to invest in the state. It will be very easy for us to create the 1,100 jobs. It just won't look exactly like the way IGT looks. We'll create 100 jobs to service the contract. We'll create between 300 and 400 jobs from Twin River Worldwide Holdings operations. We already have almost 5,000 employees. We're in the process of acquiring companies that have almost another 1,000, and by 2 or 3 years from now, we'll be close to 10,000 employees.
So with those outside people from Twin River Worldwide, you say 300 to 400 people?
300 to 400, so we're bringing about 5% of our people back there. Then you look at our partner base, people that are partnering with us in the consortium. They have over 6,000 employees. We only need to get 200 or 300 of those employees back into the state. And then the last piece is all of the investment we're prepared to do. At Twin River and Lincoln, we're prepared to put in $50 million to build out new amenities, and we will either hire people there, we'll acquire other businesses that are adjacent to the casino, but when you put all of that together, we will get to the 1,100. And Kate, the way we've set up our partnership is really unique in my opinion. Usually when you create a company, you get shares in the company based on how much money you put in. We've created a partnership where you get shares in the company based on how many jobs you create. Because we understand the number one issue for the state is the jobs, so we're creating a financial incentive for all of our partners, and it's actually created the kind of competition you want. So we're competing with Camelot to say, who's going to create more jobs? Because the more jobs you create, the more shares you get in the company, and that company is the one that's earning all of the excess profits that are in this contract with the state.
So you talk about investing that $50 million in amenities. That was a topic that had come up last night. Obviously, Twin River known as a convenience casino, the Cheers of casinos, if you will. But with the competition from Massachusetts, you know, how does Twin River rectify sort of its bread and butter business, but competing with, again, enhanced competition from over the border while maintaining its identity? What amenities are needed, in your opinion, moving forward?
So that's something that we're trying to work through, and we're having really good constructive conversations with the lottery right now about things that we think would be helpful, and they think that would be helpful, and we're going to continue to do that. You know, there's some talk about additional restaurants. Do we want to put in a separate freestanding spa? You know, do you want to go with other entertainment options like a bowling alley or movie theater or water park? Or all sorts of things we're considering. I don't know what we'll ultimately do, but we're excited about the opportunity to do that. Those haven't been on our capital plan so far because our capital plan was really dominated, number one, by moving Newport to Tiverton and building that, and that's doubled the performance of that gaming asset for the state. So we've really been happy with the performance there. The next thing we did was build the hotel in Lincoln, right? We built the sports bar cafe, and that was really important because sports betting was such a focus for the state. So now we're on to the next thing.
And speaking of the next thing, there are more hearings on tap, of course, moving forward. Now, you said that you had hoped to have that sort of partnership, but the discussions have not been forthcoming. What do you expect to see from these hearings moving forward, again, as IGT makes their case and Twin River makes yours?
So I'm not sure what's going to happen in the House now. The House spokesman, Larry Berman, issued a statement last night that's saying the House is taking everything under advisement. I don't know if they'll have additional hearings or not, so that's open on the House side. On the Senate side, there are either 2 or 3 more hearings. I believe there are 2 scheduled for the week of October 22nd, maybe one on the 22nd and 24th. We'll be invited to testify to one of those, I believe. I'm certain IGT will be invited to testify. I don't know if it'll be at the same ones or different ones. And then after that, I think the legislative process pays out. There's been a lot of discussion about potentially trying to have a vote on this legislation sometime early next session. We just have to see how it develops. We're going to continue to participate and cooperate, and if anyone in the state or IGT wants to have a conversation about a partnership, we're willing and available.
Anything else you want to share with viewers while we have you here in studio after a very lengthy hearing last night up at the House?
Yeah, this has been really hard for Twin River. It's very hard for us to oppose the governor, who is our regulator, and to oppose IGT, where I personally have a lot of friends. Those people are really important to me. They mean a lot to me. This was a very difficult decision, but we felt like we had no choice once IGT was getting 100% of the machines. I think it's in the best interests of everyone in this state to find a path forward that makes more sense. But as long as we're on this path, we're a Rhode Island company. We deserve an opportunity to compete for the business. We're not asking it to be awarded. And as we testified last night, we've increased our upfront offer to $75 million. So right out of the bag, we're matching every single IGT term, and we're putting $50 million more than them up front. That's real money to the state. The state can use it for whatever purposes, for education, for infrastructure, for other good causes. The purpose of having lottery and gaming is to generate proceeds for the state. That $50 million is worthy of serious attention.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come into the studio, tell viewers a little bit about what's taking place now up at the State House. So, Marc Crisafulli,
Kate, always a pleasure. Thanks so much.
And thank you for watching. We're going to be back here shortly for more GoLocal Live. So when you see us pop up again, be sure to tune in just a little bit. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Akel.